this be your prayer. If you only make one prayer, if you only take one thing to remember from here today, have your way in me. And that's especially important because we're talking today about new beginnings. Maybe you feel like so many people where we resist those things. We love as human beings to try to keep everything exactly the same. We don't really necessarily like change, but it is the essence of life. In the book of Revelations, God says, chapter 21, look, I'm making everything new. And all the crowd is saying, no, keep it the same. Keep it old. And God is saying, no, I'm making everything new. That great Persian poet Rumi said it like this: the universe is reinvented in every second. We are being reinvented in every second. The world is filled with those endings and those beginnings. In the 8th chapter of the book of Romans, Paul wrote about this, oddly enough, to the church in Rome. He said, all around us we observe a pregnant creation. The difficult times of pain are simply birth pangs. But it's not only around us, it's within us. The Spirit of God is rousing us within. We, of course, don't see what is enlarging us, but the longer we wait, the larger we become, and the more joyful our expectancy. You came here today. You all did, answering some divine inner call. So I want you to know, and please don't take this in the wrong way, you're getting bigger. Some of you are getting really big on the inside. And you're feeling that expansion, that growth, and so you come here to find a way to give birth to the new you. And that's what we're going to talk about today. How are we going to deal with these things? How can we have new endings and new beginnings? And it's all, although it is all around us, even a pregnant woman, when she gives birth, is beginning a new life, but she's also ending her pregnancy. When we graduate from college, we're stepping into a new world, a new career, but we're also ending our college life. When people get married, they're stepping into a whole new realm of relationship, and they're giving up singlehood, moving from a life of independence for some, to a life of interdependence. We're in these moments all the time, see? They're happening all around us. They're continually there. So the question I want to pose to you is, how can we have new beginnings all the time with grace and peace and joy? Because how great would that be? Instead of kicking and screaming into every new paradigm in our life, we danced into it. I want to talk about some of the ways that we can do that. The first one is a very common one: release the past. And we have to do that. You know, remember when you were a kid, they used to have these things called monkey bars? They don't have them anymore because I'm sure they're dangerous for you, but you know, none of the stuff I liked as a kid we have anymore. But you know, to do that, you have to swing from one bar to the next. Remember that? Well, now how effective would that be if I didn't let go of this one? You know, how come I'm not moving? How come I'm not going? Because I'm hanging on. This is the way that, this is part of a life lesson that we need to get. We can't move from this place and step here unless we let go of the position we have here and move into this one. And everything in life is like that. And we have great difficulty with that. Now, I'm not going to say to you that in those moments of the letting go of the things that are important in life, there's going to be some feeling there. We're human beings. We have these feelings. It's called grief, and it's natural and real, and we need to go ahead and feel it. We don't live in it forever. We give it time, and in the fullness of that time, when we're ready, when we're tired of waiting and hanging from one rung to the next, when it's due for us, we can let go and swing on. In that passage I just read to you, Paul goes on, he talks about that amazing thing. He says, meanwhile, the moment we get tired in the waiting, God's Spirit is right alongside, helping us along. If we don't know how or what to pray, it doesn't matter. He does our praying in and for us, making prayer out of our wordless sighs, our aching groans. He knows us far better than we know ourselves, knows our pregnant condition, and keeps us present. That's why we can be so sure that every detail of our lives and love for God is worked into something good. You got to hear that last part again. That's why we know that every detail of our lives and love with God is worked into something good. Even when we have to let go. So letting go of the past is important so we can move into the future. Number 2, be vulnerable. And that may seem like an odd thing to say. Here's how I can explain it to you. These are eagle pictures. And in the first one, the eagle's sitting on a post, and the other one's the eagle's flying. If you notice the wings when the eagle's sitting on the post, they're close around the body. That's a protective gesture for the birds. Because the most vulnerable part of any bird is that portion under the wings where the breast is. That's the part where the most danger can come. That's the part that can be most easily wounded. And so when they rest, they enclose themselves in their wings because that keeps them not only warm, but it keeps them safe. And then when they fly, they open, because here is the spiritual truth. There is no chance for us ever to step into any place that is larger than ourselves until we are willing to let go of those places that we hold so close to our chest. We cannot step into a bigger future if we try to step into some new beginning for ourselves and we don't expose those places. It's like a bird jumping off of the roof without opening its wings. We have to learn to trust that those things that lift us, those things that land us onto this earth, are the very things that we try so deeply to hide. And once we reveal those things, we find that those tender places, those hurt places, those wounded places are the places that become our wings. To move into a new beginning, we must be willing to reveal those places that we hide and we're so afraid of. The best example I can give for you are those people who have been hiding so much of alcohol and drug abuse in their life. And finally, there comes a place where they can't hide it anymore. And though for a moment it seems like shame and incomprehensible humiliation, they find that in the revelation of those wounds, in the revelation of those things that were so painful, wings grow. And they step into a new way of living that brings them into beginnings without end, into a life they could only have imagined. But not until the revelation. So we want to step into a new beginning. Be bold. Be brave. Reveal. See yourself differently. I can't bring the old me into the new thing. It just doesn't fit anymore. It never fit back there actually anyway. It's still looking for the right place. We have to begin to see ourselves differently. Course in Miracles said that the wish to see calls down the grace of God upon your eyes and brings the gift of light that makes sight possible. The important word I want you to see there is the wish to see. That's our intention. It's our desire to see things. We want to see it differently. We will see it differently. And we will see what we will become what we see. So instead of seeing ourselves as limited or seeing ourselves in this old thing, if we're going to have a new beginning, begin to see ourselves in that place. If you're looking for a new job and you're going to apply for it, begin to see yourself as that job. When we have our interns come here from all over the country to study with us and to do those things, the one and most important piece of advice I give them from the very beginning of the day one is, don't come here as a student. Don't come here as an intern. Come here as a minister. And everything you do it from that place. You see? Because that's how you become a minister. Now this may seem like a really great metaphysical truth, but it's really, it's kind of been around for a while. In 1954, there was a play that opened in Broadway. It's called The Rainmaker. Some of you may be familiar with it. It was made into a movie not long after. It was quite successful, starring Katharine Hepburn and Burt Lancaster. These names may mean nothing to some of you, but they mean a lot to some of us. They were really big stars. There's a scene in this play written and published and produced in 1954 that talks about the amazing power of belief and how it changes what we see and what we do. And I wanted to show you just a little snippet of the scene that I think is so important. It takes place in a small town in the Midwest that's during the Depression time, the Great Depression of the 30s. And there was a great drought that was going on then. And in this town, there lived a woman. Her name was Lizzie. She was what we called in those days a spinster. She was old, probably 30 in those days, and not married. She was taking care of her brothers and her cousins. And into town, into this small town racked by drought, comes a fellow who claims that if they will pay him $100, he can make it rain. This scene is the scene between Lizzie and that man. Lizzie, what are you scared of?
You. I don't trust you.
Why? What don't you trust about me?
Everything. The way you talk, the way you brag, even your name.
Well, what's wrong with my name?
It sounds fake. It sounds like you made it up.
Well, you're darned right. I did make it up.
Of course.
Well, why not? Do you know what kind of name I was born with? Smith. For the love of Mike Smith. Now, what kind of a handle is that for a guy like me? I needed a name that had the whole sky in it and the power of a man. Starbuck. Now there's a name, and it's mine.
No, you were born Smith. That is your name.
You're wrong. The name you choose for yourself is more your own than the name you're born with. And if I was you, I'd choose another name than Lizzie.
Mr. Bow, you're very pleased with yourself, aren't you?
Yeah, well, you bet. And I'm sure there's nothing about your name that pleases you. Lizzie don't stand for nothing.
I don't ask you to be pleased with it. I am.
Yeah, why? What does it stand for?
It stands for me. I'm not the Queen of Sheba. I'm not Lady Godiva. And I'm not Cinderella at the ball.
Would you like to be?
Starbuck, you're ridiculous.
But what's ridiculous about it? You dream you're somebody and you be somebody. Lizzie, that's nobody. So many millions of wonderful women with wonderful names. Leonora, Desdemona, Caroline, Cassandra, Florinda, Diana, Lizzie.
Good night, Starbuck.
I hope your dreams come true. I really hope they do.
They never will.
Believe in yourself.
How can
and
I?
they will.
How can I? No one else does.
But you got to believe it first. Let me ask you this. Are you pretty?
No. I'm plain.
There, you see. You don't know you're a woman.
I am a woman. I'm a plain one.
There's no such thing as a plain woman. Every woman is pretty. They're just pretty in different ways. But they're all pretty.
No, not me when I look in the looking glass.
It's got to be inside you. And then you'll be more than pretty. You'll be beautiful.
It'll never happen.
Make it happen. Close your eyes. Close them. Good. Now say it. Say, I'm pretty.
I can't.
Say it, Lizzie. Say it.
I'm pretty.
Say it again.
Pretty.
Say it and mean it.
I'm pretty. I'm pretty. I'm pretty.
Lizzie, look at me.
I can't.
Lift up your head and look at me. Look at my eyes. Tell me what you see there.
I can't believe what I'm seeing.
Tell me what you see.
Is it me? Is it really me?
and it's really you. I like that scene because it underlines not only how important it is for us to believe in ourselves, but what an important part we can play for each other. When we encounter those people here that don't feel beautiful, that don't feel lovable, we can say, look at my eyes. Tell me what you see. They can be beautiful. There's an important passage. One more thing I want to share with you from the Apostle Paul. In his letter to the church in Corinth, in 5th chapter, he says, now we look inside, and what we see is that anyone who united with God gets a fresh start, is created new. The old life is gone. A new life burgeons. Look at it. Become friends with God. Because God is already a friend with you. In this amazing journey, as you make new beginnings, the last thing I would say to you is trust God. Trust God to be the wind beneath your wings. Trust God to be the midwife to the light that you birth into the world. Trust God to be with you as we make every beginning a new beginning. And trust God to be your friend. I'm going to invite you to close your eyes, please, for a moment. In this quiet time and place, this is when you and the God of your being connect. It's where you listen to the truth that is meant for you to hear today. It's where you feel that divine presence of God in you. It's where you make a decision to move into the changes of life with grace, with peace, and with joy as you let go of the past, as you become more vulnerable. See yourself in a new way and trust in God as we come together to meet with that sacred presence in the holy, holy silence.